DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Monday, February 6th, 2023. You made it. It's Super Bowl week. The NHL All-Star festivities is over. They are back tonight. The NFL will be back on Sunday. The Pro Bowl weekend is graciously over. It was an action-packed week of college hoops for ECSI. A historic week on our end, as we had an undefeated week, including a 3-0 action parlay that we do yesterday for a 10-0 week. It just off the charts. It was an amazing event. We're looking forward to this week, but it's Monday, and what better way to start the week than as we tiptoe down to Florida? And listen, it was 30 below here on Saturday. Wind chill, of course. It was -6. Woke up Sunday morning, it was 44 degrees. So only on Cape Cod, Massachusetts can something like that happen. But I know our good friend and colleague has a lot better, warmer weather to talk about. So without further ado, let's bring him in. The one, the only, Mr. Beaton the Bookie himself.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Monday to everybody out there. Happy to be back, to see another Monday. Looking forward to a fun week.
It's the Super Bowl. Now the bye week couldn't have happened better, obviously, for the Kansas City Chiefs. As we were watching them beat the Bengals, they lost every one of their offensive wide receivers. I did a check over the weekend. The only one that is doubtful right now is Hardman. Everyone else is questionable. I assume every one of them will suit up. Obviously, another 2 weeks that Patrick Mahomes can rest that ankle. I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about Jalen Hurts. And if you really broke down that game against the Niners, a couple wide open throws, not even close. Before we break down the game and talk about it, what's your thoughts on Monday, as now we are basically 6 days closer to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think, what you said about Mahomes, it's extra rest for him. Obviously, his ankle is still going to be sore because that's just, it's physically impossible for it to heal, in 3 weeks, 3 weeks time. And like you said, Jalen Hurts, his shoulder, with that injury he had against the Giants and, last week against the 49ers, you can tell like his arm isn't fully there 100% either. Like you said, he missed a lot of throws. They haven't really been throwing that much this postseason with him, They had 2 games in hand in the first half, so they didn't have to really work hard the second half. They didn't really have to show anything exotic because they took care of the games in the first half, and, he didn't have to throw. So Jalen Hurts hasn't really been tested so far, under pressure. How will his arm do? I guess this game it'll just come down to, how the game starts, how the first half goes, whether we'll see, Jalen Hurts have to make those throws to win the Super Bowl, or can he just run the ball and, control the clock to win it that way. Something tells me when you're going against Patrick Mahomes, you're going to have to score points to win the Super Bowl. So I think he'll have to show off his arm a little bit. And it might come down to, who's the healthier quarterback. I'm not really – Mahomes, Mahomes is kind of like Aaron Rodgers in a way. He makes the receivers, right? He gets receivers paid. He makes receivers. They don't make him. You could put Mahomes out there with 5 garbage men, and one of them would have a 1,000-yard season. So he's like Aaron Rodgers in that similarity. So I think it's just going to come down to who's healthier. But yeah, the Eagles, the Eagles have looked good, but they have not been tested. So I'm eager to see if we'll see a test coming Sunday, and I think we will, because at the end of the day, the Chiefs are going to score points, right? Especially against like the 20th ranked pass defense. So I think the Chiefs are going to score points, and will we see a shootout? How will Jalen Hurts perform if, say, they're trailing, or the game is tied and they need like a key score or something like that, because we haven't seen them under pressure the entire offseason. So it's going to be interesting. I definitely think the Chiefs are more battle tested coming in, whereas the Eagles kind of coasted here. Some could say it's almost one of the easiest roads I've ever seen for a team to make the Super Bowl, right? Beat the Giants and then beat a 49ers team with Josh Johnson. So you make your own breaks, and they did take Brock Purdy out of the game. So I'm just interested to see, like, if the pressure comes to them, like, how will the Eagles react?
We talked about it last week when you and I did our show at the Circa, Mr. Metcalf. I was corrected by Mr. Benson. It was comical. They opened up the Chiefs -2.5. First 25 bets, I think 22 were all the Eagles. Went all the way to Philly -2. It's sitting right now at the Circa at Philly -1.5 with an under over of 50.5. I know the Westgate also has their props out. I think there's over like 400 of them to choose from. Sitting here today, again, I know we got 5-6 days. I mean, today though, you're looking at these numbers initially. Anything, I think I know where you're leaning. Obviously, I think you know where we're leaning. But nice price on the Chiefs. Obviously, as a dog. The under-over is intriguing. Some spots it did open up at 51 and got bet down immediately. If you wanted to play Philly, I mean, it's a short money line. So both sides got to be happy as they're going to the window to bet here.
Yeah, I mean, right now I would lean towards the over if I had to make one play. I'm not really – I don't know what side I'm leaning to, but I'm not going to go – I've pretty much learned at this point to not go on any shows and say like I'm betting against the Eagles, because their fans are total lunatics, and it'll be never ending hearing from their fans about you hate the Eagles and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say I'm going to betting on any side right here. But right now I lean towards the over. As far as the props and stuff, like you said, I think there's so many players that are injured going into this game that it's really hard to bet any props right now until the end of the week. Really. You don't want to get caught where, a guy's injured, maybe plays a couple of snaps, then you're done for the game. So probably wait towards the end of the week to pull the trigger on some props. But right now, if I had to make one play, I would just lean towards the over. Usually I go crazy in the Super Bowl with like 30 plays, stuff like that, different props and stuff. I think this year I'm going to take it a little easier because, last year it was tough. It's tough to enjoy the game when you're betting on so many things, right? So this year I'm just going to take it a little easier and probably just do a few bets. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the over right now, because if this was a regular season game in Philly, I mean, we'd probably see a total of like 53, right? So, you have two of the best offenses in the NFL who can both score on it, in an instant. So, I like the over in this one. Even though the Chiefs defense has been playing great, the Eagles defense has been playing great. It doesn't matter how good your defense is. It's very hard to stop Patrick Mahomes. Especially. I don't really think any defense can recreate that Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl defense against the Chiefs from a few years ago. It's gonna be very, very tough to make Patrick Mahomes look that bad. And right now I'm just leaning towards the over. But as far as props and stuff, I'll take a look at those more towards the end of the week. There's just so many to look at. I'm not a big national anthem over under guy, coin toss guy, stuff like that. There's so many bets for the Super Bowl. I always tell this story that it was the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, like, what was this, 2012 or something like that, when they played the Ravens versus the Niners. And one of my friends actually We were watching the game together. He was 0-6 before the ball was even kicked off. I'm not even kidding. So he was down so much on props before the game even kicked off that he didn't even enjoy the game. So I've learned to just wait. There's no need to just blow your wad before the game starts. So it's fun to take those bets and stuff, but I just look online. I see, sites charging, minus 110 for the coin toss. It's just guaranteed money for them. I wish I could do that, but right now I'm just leaning towards the over if I had to, make one play.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The coin toss, the Star Spangled Banner, the color of the Gatorade. I mean, the list is endless. And every one of the real meat and potato props, the numbers are inflated because they know everyone's going to go towards the over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, you don't want to sit there and root against. So I'll take this over. I'll take that over. And I think you were spot on, especially on the Chiefs side. Everyone is questionable. Everyone's banged up. So to go in now and to have to be on eggshells, I think most of them, if not all of them, other than Hardman right now, is going to suit up. But you're just throwing money into the wind if you start blasting away on anything on the Chiefs side right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if there was maybe one prop I was going to bet right now, I'd probably take Pacheco to score a touchdown, Isaiah Pacheco to score a touchdown, because I think he'll get those red zone carries. Down around the goal line. So if I had to just bet one prop just for the show, I would just say I'd take Pacheco plus 110 on DraftKings to score a touchdown. He's probably plus 130 on FanDuel. So just Pacheco plus 110, plus 130 to score a touchdown. So that's where I would go with my money.
True story. A couple of years ago, Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And I make the trip down to Rhode Island because, I wanted to get cute. And I had Mecole Hardman over 1.5 catches. I had him over 15 or 17 and a half yards. And I had him for an anytime touchdown. The first play of the game, Rob, was an 8-yard catch to Hardman. So I just need one more catch and 9 yards, and I got everything covered. It's going to be a plus day. I think they threw it to him 5 more times, no catches, 2 drops in the end zone. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had that happen. I mean, or you have a guy get injured. Happens all the time. So, I mean, I think last year, I started at 8-0 for my plays, and then I think I lost 9 in a row, 10 in a row, or something like that. Just props, stupid little props, So, this year definitely be taking it a little easier. I don't think we're gonna see with Mahomes and Hurts. I don't think we're gonna see some crazy Super Bowl MVP, right? I see a lot of people are talking up the Hassan Reddick for MVP, but if somebody's talking about that, if somebody's talking about that too much, it's probably not going to hit. Plus 3,500. I saw somebody bet $1,000 on each kicker to win the Super Bowl MVP, which if the game was 9-6, I could definitely see a kicker winning. But with 2 quarterbacks like this, I think it's pretty hard to see them not scoring a touchdown. So, I was just in the gym this morning. I was watching they had some old Super Bowls on TV on NFL Network, and they had the Patriots Giants game where there was a safety on an intentional grounding for the first points of the game. So, just interesting to see what the first score is in this game. Obviously, years ago we used to get a safety at 50-1, right? And now that's down to 12-1 or something like that because the books just got hammered on that. But right now, I would just lean towards the over, and like I said, Pacheco scoring a touchdown because he's been running really hard lately. He's been running with some anger. And I think the Super Bowl might be his breakout moment. I could see a guy like that having a shot at the MVP. But, when Patrick Mahomes is on your team, it's always going to be tough to beat him out for the MVP because he's going to make some throws. So right now, I would just lean towards the over. Keep it simple, People get caught up in the Super Bowl betting too many things. Mm-hmm. Just because it's the last game of the season doesn't mean you need to bet all your money on one game. We've all made that mistake. So just because the last game doesn't mean you need to bet, all of your money on it. Remember, it's just one game. The WNBA is one game, and it pays the same exact, payout that the Super Bowl does. So just, be careful when you bet the Super Bowl. Don't blow all of your money, and just, overall, you just want to enjoy it, right? Enjoy the game first and foremost, and then bet, whatever you want to bet.
The switching gears to college hoops, number one Purdue goes down on Saturday. We had the Hoosiers here. They were due. Purdue was due. I was getting a little nervous. I didn't give out the Hoosiers first half because they've blown some big leads. But they go down. One of the years, it looks like this year, that it's wide open to who's going to cut the nets down. I think you can say there's probably at least a dozen teams that can win 8 in a row. I said yesterday in the tweet, I think pound for pound, Houston's the best team in the country, but with a blink of an eye, they have scoring issues. Listen, they can play defense with the best of them. If they were to play Tennessee, I think the first one to 38 would probably win that game. That's how good they both are defensively. There, Duke, North Carolina played over the weekend. Again, not the flair, the big time must watch TV, Duke and North Carolina. And the reason I'm transitioning here is, big Hurricane fan that you are, in comes Duke after the North Carolina game. And currently right now at the Circa, Hurricanes 3.5-point favorites and an under over of 145 and a hook, Rob.
Yeah, Duke, UNC, just because Duke wins that game, I don't really think it means much. We've seen North Carolina down this year. They're not having a great season off of their final, NCAA championship game run off last year. They're kind of injured and stuff, but they're just not playing well. The Hurricanes, they've been playing pretty well. They beat Clemson at Clemson. And, the couple times the Hurricanes have lost this year, they've pretty much given away every game they've lost. They got blown out by Maryland by 17. Outside of that, they blew the other games, right? They blew last-minute leads against Pitt and stuff like that, against Georgia Tech. So this line is really not surprising. And Miami owns Duke at home, right? They've beaten Duke's best teams at home in Miami. So I think the line's correct in this one. As far as, like you said, college basketball is wide open right now. I think there's 20 teams that could win it, 15, 20 teams. The Big Ten, Purdue, number one team in the country. Okay, well, the Big Ten is complete garbage. Up to last week, they had one ranked team in the top 25, which has to be the lowest they've ever had. Ohio State, Michigan yesterday was total garbage fest. Indiana can't play. When Indiana leaves their home stadium, they turn into Siena, right? They can't play on the road. They're terrible on the road. It's almost like Indiana's just predictable at this point. If it's at home, they're going to give a team a good game. If it's on the road, they're going to just totally suck. So I'm not big on Indiana either. And in Houston, they go through these long scoring droughts that they just don't play good. They play good defense, but Kelvin Sampson, I don't really trust that guy to win a national championship. Right. So Purdue, I don't think they use Zach Edey too much. What if he has a bad game, right? Or what if he gets in foul trouble? Then they're in trouble, right? He dominated that game against Indiana. The guy is a total beast. You're that much bigger than everybody. And he's thick too. You pretty much can dominate anybody. But if he gets in foul trouble, then what? Then what do they do? So, I think, right now we're seeing teams like Kansas kind of slip up and stuff. We're seeing some of the better teams kind of slip up, but I think in March, we can see, teams with experience like Kansas, Arizona, these guys that have these really, high caliber athletes. I think we'll see them take over. Whereas I think Purdue is more like a blue collar team, right? They're going to just come in, they're going to try to outwork you, just like Virginia did a few years ago, right? But I think that also leaves them susceptible to an upset. So, Houston reminds me of Virginia, the year they got, beat by UMBC in the first round. I could see Houston shooting poorly one game and getting upset, right, in the first round. You can make a case for that because sometimes their offense is absent, totally absent. Tennessee, Tennessee is still coached by Rick Barnes, right? So this guy always chokes, right? And their offense, the last few games, their offense has totally disappeared, right? Totally abysmal. And I don't think a team that can't score or struggles to score can win in March, right? We've seen Virginia, number 1 seed overall. They struggled to score, they lost. And then Tony Bennett basically discovered, like, hey, we need to fix our scoring to win a national championship, right? He did that, and then they won, right? So, I think a team who scores easily and who can play pretty good defense, whoever just gets hot is going to win. But if you struggle to score in the NCAA tournament, forget it, right? I mean, because you got to play it, perfect ball all the time because you don't leave yourself much room for error. So, I don't like a team like Tennessee or Houston to win it because they just don't run enough to win it. I think if you look at all the teams who won the national championship the last few years, right? You look at Kansas, Baylor, all these teams, they're running and gunning, right? They're playing good defense, but they're going to run an offense. And where are you at? I don't think Tennessee or Houston has been doing that. So I just, I'm not too high on those two teams right now. Purdue really either. I think it's like you said, I think it's wide open. 15, 20 teams could win it. I mean, it's right there for pretty much anybody who gets hot can take this thing down. There's no real dominant team this year. So I'm looking forward to getting the, conference season, and seeing who can win it. Although I don't think Gonzaga can win it, right? Because I just, I'd say there's 20 teams that can win and Gonzaga is not one of them, right? They're just total garbage pail team. They got Drew Timme, who just – Gonzaga is so soft. I feel like Drew Timme cost himself money by staying an extra year. I think at this time next year, Drew Timme will be playing in China in the CBL. But, Gonzaga, don't waste your money on them. But, yeah, Tennessee, Houston, Purdue, I'd rather bet on somebody else than these teams to win the championship.
Well, let's take it one step further before we go over to the frozen pond. You talked about the Big 12, the Kansases of the world. There's a couple teams, I'm going to say it, out in the Pac-12, the UCLAs of the world, the Arizonas of the world. Listen, they can get up and down with anyone. And so if we're gonna poo-poo the good defensive teams, the Tennessees of the world, the Houstons of the world, and then look to the Big 12, the defending champs, Kansas, the Baylors of the world. K-State's had a good year. There's a bunch of Texas, even after what happened to Coach Beard, and now they're getting their swagger back. I think they're now back into the top 10. And then we go out west to the UCLA's Arizona. So you're right. There is 15, 20 teams can win. But talk about the Big 12 and talk about the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Big 12 is the best conference in the country, the SEC. And then, the Pac-12 is right up there right now with the ACC. I mean, look, when you got like UCLA, when you've got Tiger Campbell, and you've got like, Jamie Hawkes Jr., these guys have talent. They've made like the Elite Eight, the final. These guys, I mean, they're ballers. We've seen them perform in the tournament, when they really need to. So, Mick Cronin, I think UCLA is a very good coach team. And UCLA is always one of those teams that like UCLA, it's like they know to prepare. They play their season to prepare for March, right? Mm-hmm. They're not like starting out the year like, they're not going – they don't care about going 30-0 into the tournament, right? They just care about getting better and preparing to play well come March. And then we see UCLA do their best work, in March. And I think UCLA's been playing well right now. I think USC's been playing well, right? Then you have Arizona. The Pac-12 has definitely been impressive this year, more so than they have been in the past. But, yeah, like you've got, USC, UCLA, Arizona. I think those are three pretty solid teams in that conference. So I could even see a team like USC making a run. But if I think I had to pick one to make a run in the Pac-12, I'd go with, UCLA just because, Tiger Campbell is just one of those guys that he knows what it takes to win a game. And when the game is on the line, you want him or Hawkes like with the ball, just for their experience alone. So I think the Pac-12 can definitely make some moves, in this tournament. And the Big 12 also. So, you've got Kansas. I mean, Texas, yeah, you never know which Texas team is going to show up. And I think all those TCU, right? Kansas State, all those teams are wild cards also. Those teams can beat anybody on any given night, Iowa State, right? But then we can see them blow a 23. We see a team like Iowa State blow a 23-point lead against a winless conference Texas Tech team. So those teams have like very high ceilings, but they also have very low floors also. So you never know which team is going to show up. Whereas in the tournament, I know UCLA is going to show up just because of their experience, right? So, yeah, I definitely like those Pac-12 teams. Like I said, UCLA, USC, Arizona.
Tonight, Texas, Kansas right now. I had an overnight number, Kansas -3.5 with a 147.5. Currently at circa right now as we speak. It's up to 4 with a 147. Kansas, tough loss over the weekend. Numbers seem about right for you, around 3.5, 4 for Kansas in a bounce back spot.
Yeah, I mean, coming off basically getting dominated. Their scoring was way down. I mean, they played pretty poorly. Now it's almost like a must-win game for Kansas. You don't want to have back-to-back losses, right? And your seed's going to slip even more. And Texas, they're obviously not the same team since Chris Beard left, right? It's pretty obvious. I mean, the guy's obviously a good coach, but Texas seems more now like they're running more. Right, their defense kind of dropped off a little tiny bit, and Kansas coming off last game's 52-point or 54-point performance. I think Kansas, their offense has to come alive tonight. Grady Dick, I don't think you're going to shut those guys down for back-to-back games like as bad as they were. So, I'd lean towards like the over here or the first half over. But I'm still hesitant to lay the points with Kansas, coming off of last week. But I mean, coming off of Saturday's loss. But yeah, I think we could see a scoring fest in that one because Texas has been playing some pretty high-scoring games. The last couple months actually. So I would lean towards the over right there. But like I said, I probably wait to see how it shakes out before I do anything.
The frozen pond is back. 6 games tonight, and I'm going to say the headliner. You'll be attending Tampa at Florida. My overnight numbers: Tampa -125, the Panthers +105. Under over 6.5, juiced over -19 cents. Currently, as we speak, and they just changed the number, Rob. So I think they knew you were coming on. Now they just dropped Tampa to -124, and you grab your Panthers at +114, a 6.5 over 15 cents. Talk about the return of hockey. This is a great matchup here. Expectations for your Panthers in the second half of the season as well.
Look, I think the Panthers, they didn't play well in the first couple months of the season, right? November, December did not play very well. I think they entered the new year like 2 games under 500. They played pretty well in January. They changed their lines. Maurice changed things up a little bit, and I think they're like 8-3 in January. They've been playing well, and as they're coming off the biggest one of their season. Beating the Bruins. In the method they did at home. I think that gave him a lot of confidence headed into the All-Star break. We just saw Tkachuk win the MVP of the All-Star game. So I think the Panthers have the momentum on their side. With that said, Tampa Bay and the Panthers is always a tough matchup, especially for the Panthers. Vasilevsky seems to always be on his game when we play them. In Tampa Bay, I think they won like 10 or 11 in a row at home, coming into the All-Star break, and this is on the road, but Tampa Bay's been one of the hottest teams in the NHL, so I think it'll be another tester for the Panthers for sure. We can definitely beat the Lightning. Can we show growth that we can really beat them? I think last regular season we smoked the Lightning pretty much every time, and then we got smoked during the playoffs. So I think that still leaves a bad taste in the Panthers' mouths. How they lost last year in the playoffs, we couldn't score any goals against Vasilevsky, so it's a big game for the Panthers. And even as a Panthers fan, I mean, I'm not sure I would even bet them tonight. This might be one of those to watch because Vasilevsky, every time he plays the Panthers, he seems to be on his A game. So we'll see what happens tonight. But I'm not really chomping at the bit to bet the Panthers. But I hope we can win, and that's really all a fan can really hope for is I hope they can win. So I'll probably bet like a prop on Kachuk to have like 1.5 points or more or something like that. But a side or total, I'll probably stay off of on this game.
Rob, under over 6.5, juiced over. I like to look for plus money here. You can get Tampa 3.5 team total over for plus 110, or the Florida Panthers 3.5 team total over plus 125. Can you see either one of these getting a 4 or better tonight?
Yeah, I mean, with empty nets and stuff like that, I mean, it's easy to see, especially if, say, the Lightning are up 3-1 and the Panthers pull the goalie with like 4 minutes left. So I'd probably stay away from that. And the way the Panthers have been playing right now, with the goalies are all banged up, right? I think Bobrovsky's on the injured reserve still. Spencer Knight's day to day, so. It looks like we might have the third string goalie in there again tonight, Alex Lyon, who's been playing well. He played pretty well against the Bruins. He made a lot of good stops and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't like to bet against the Panthers, but an experienced team like the Lightning, I think they could take advantage of Lyon in goal. But like I said, I'm probably gonna stay off on it. When you bet like an under for a team total, you're pretty much just asking for heartbreak, right? So, especially with a road team that's capable of winning, right? Like if the Panthers were playing the Nashville Predators at home, right? I could see taking the Predators team total under, right? But the Lightning, it's like I've learned too many times from fading the Lightning that's probably not a good idea. So, probably just pass on that one.
Last but not least, PGA golf. Correct me if I'm wrong. They'll be playing a little golf today. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yeah, they'll be playing a little golf today. Justin Rose is, in the lead with I think there's 11 holes to go. This tournament, Pebble Beach Pro-Am, is just totally botched, I think, by the PGA. So they play 3 courses there, right? Rounds 1 through 3, each golfer has 1 round on each course. And they play the final round on the Pebble Beach course. The problem is, on Saturday, the wind's hailing a little bit. You had 40+ mile per hour winds on the Pebble Beach course, right? Which is exposed to all the cliffs it's right on the ocean, right? The wind's coming off the ocean 50 miles per hour. And they waited so long to basically postpone it that a lot of these guys, they're teeing off right into the wind right on Pebble Beach, like right into the wind of 40, 50 mile per hour wind. And, you have Matthew Fitzpatrick shooting like 8 over for a 3-hole stretch. And then on the restart, he's birdie, birdie, birdie. So it's like, it's not fair to the guys who had to play that stretch for Saturday. I mean, they definitely paid the price, and a lot of guys caught lucky breaks right there. So I think that, the PJ, they should have just not been out there to begin with, right? And the PJ put them out there. And I mean, these guys triple bogey every hole. Like it's like Matthew Fitzpatrick triple bogeyed 18 almost like every day. So it's I think the PJ did a bad job botching that. Like if you're gonna have to come back Monday anyways, why not just like postpone the entire round that day, play a 3rd round Sunday, and then play the 4th round on Monday? But they didn't do that, and now they're coming back Monday anyways, which absolutely makes no sense. But the PGA, I think this is one thing they struggle with is like scheduling. They seem to not be very good schedulers, and knowing when to start tournaments and stuff like that. Or if rain's coming, they'll send the guys out there to play in the weather, and then they'll cancel it an hour later and have them come. So it's just stupid stuff like this. It kind of reminds me of how they botched the Players Championship last year, the TPC at Ponte Vedra, almost the same thing. Whereas some guys had an advantage of what time they played at, and some basically got eliminated from the tournament because they had to play at a certain time with the weather. So I think the PGA did a bad job with it. So now we're coming back today, and we're finishing up. You'll see if Justin Rose can get a victory. I think Justin Rose is like 5 for 15 with a final round lead headed into the final round. So we'll see how he plays today. But as far as I'm concerned, the PGA botched the tournament, and it's almost every year with Pebble Beach at this point, right? So weather is always an issue. So we'll see what happens as they get ready to head to the Waste Management Open in Phoenix this week. That should be a good one, but this weekend I think totally botched by the PGA, but there's nothing I can do about it, so.
The crawl has been going the whole time, Rob. Everyone knows where they can follow you on social media or on Twitter at Beaten the Bookie. Please tell them. I follow you, obviously. See you're on an amazing heater on your free plays, which you now are putting up onto the website. So tell everyone, A, where they can find these free plays on your website, B, about your packages, and C, anything else going on for the rest of the week and heading in towards March Madness and further on.
Yeah, sure. I've got all the plays are at beatenthebookie.com, and last month we debuted like a free play page on the website where I'll post a free play every day, and we're 23 and 5 now on the free plays. So it's been a really good run. So all my packages for every sport are on this site. Everything you could possibly want is there. So, if somebody's watching, they probably already know how to find me. But, I've been posting the free plays to the site, the past month, and we've had some good luck. So I'll keep doing that. But, outside of that, you can find everything on the site. And if you have any questions, just ask, because, usually I pretty much answer everyone as long as they're cool, so come on in.
We can't thank you enough here, Rob. If late this week, if you find a few seconds, want to talk some waste management, want some late breaking props, as we know who's getting healthier, especially on the KC side, how Jalen Hurts looks, obviously give us a holler. We'll make room and clear the desk for you to get on, and we'll talk some PGA, some NHL, some Super Bowl props, whatever you want to do, okay?
Sounds good. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm always around.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Mr. BDB at Beaten the Bookie, we wish everyone a blessed day. It's Monday, guys. We got a long, long way to go to the Super Bowl. Enjoy the frozen pond. Enjoy some college hoops. And we will see you soon.